My beloved child, do not let the noise of the world make you forget whom you belong to. There are days when you look at yourself and feel that your soul is far too small in the midst of a vast world filled with people who seem stronger, more successful, and more radiant than you. You ask yourself whether your life truly carries any meaning when everyone around you seems to be moving far ahead, while you are still struggling with nameless battles within your heart. But my child, I have never measured your worth by the things the world uses to weigh a person's value. I do not look at you through status, achievements, or the praise of the crowd. I look into the deepest hidden place of your soul, the place that still knows how to tremble before the light, the place that still longs to seek me, even after many seasons of weariness. That is the very place that makes you precious in my sight. There are seeds that must remain for a long time beneath the dark soil before they rise into great trees. If people only look at the surface, they may think nothing is happening at all. But in that silence, life is quietly moving. You are the same. The seasons of life that make you feel forgotten are not signs that I have abandoned you, but moments when I am working in the parts of you that you cannot yet see. I am deepening the roots of your faith so that when the storm comes, you will not be uprooted. I am teaching you to walk not only by what your eyes can see, but by trust. For as it is written in Hebrews 11:1, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I do not call you only when you are already strong enough. I call you even while you are still trembling, so that you may understand that true power does not come from your own strength, but from me within you. Do not be ashamed of your weakness. My child, the very cracks you once wanted to hide are the places where my light can enter most deeply. There are people who carry the appearance of perfection, yet their souls are dry because they have never learned how to surrender. But you, through long nights filled with tears, are learning something more precious than every outward victory. You are learning how to lean on me. The Apostle Paul once pleaded with me to remove the thorn in his flesh. But I said to him, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." And from that moment, he understood that when human beings stop relying on their own strength, the power from heaven is truly revealed. My beloved child, perhaps today you still do not understand why I have allowed you to walk through difficult paths. But a day will come when you realize that the very place where you once fell became the place where you came to know the depth of my mercy most profoundly. Remember Gideon, who once hid in the winepress because he feared the enemy. When I called him a mighty man of valor, even he did not believe it was true. He looked at himself and saw only a small man from the weakest clan. But I did not look at him through the limitations of his present condition. I looked at what I could do through his life if he would trust me. And then I did not use a great army to defeat the Midianites. I reduced the number of soldiers to only a few hundred so that everyone would know the victory came from me, not from human strength. My child, sometimes I also allow you to step into circumstances beyond your ability so that you will stop depending on your own strength. For when every human door closes, you will begin to see my hand opening a way in the very place where there seemed to be no escape. There are prayers you have lifted up in desperation, yet it seemed as though the heavens remained silent. There are nights when you lay down with a heavy heart and wondered whether I truly heard your voice. But my child, if I allow the waiting to continue, it is not because I have forgotten you. Many times, in that very silence, I am doing a work deeper than what you asked for. You asked me to change your circumstances, while I am changing your soul. You asked me to open a door, while I am preparing you to be mature enough to walk through that door without losing yourself. I see every tear you shed in secret. The Psalms have written that I keep your tears in my bottle. Not one of your sorrows is meaningless before me. Therefore, do not think that your failures have ruined your life. I can cause even ashes to bloom when you place them in my hands. Joseph was once sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in a dark prison. But not one painful stage of his journey was wasted. It was in that very darkness that his faithfulness and tenderness were refined, so that when the time I had appointed came, he became an instrument to preserve the lives of many. If today you are still in the prison of waiting, do not despair. I have not finished writing the story of your life. My beloved child, what I seek in you is not flawless perfection, but a heart that knows how to return, a soul that knows how to listen to my voice amid the countless chaotic voices of the world, a person who, though weary many times, still chooses to rise once more. I do not need you to understand everything I am doing. I only want you to trust that the hand leading you will never let you go halfway through the journey. And one day, you will look back over the whole path you have walked and realize that even the seasons that seemed darkest were the very places where my light was quietly forming within you, a beauty you had never possessed before. My beloved child, there are paths in life that make you feel as though everything around you is gradually being taken away. The things you once held on to suddenly become distant. The familiar doors close one after another. The people who once walked with you may also leave you in silence. And in those empty spaces, your heart begins to feel unsettled, wondering whether I am still with you. But my child, if I allow something to be taken away, it does not mean I want to leave you empty. Many times, I am clearing away what has been hiding my light in your life. There are things you once believed you could not live without, but in time, you will understand that I alone am truly the source of life that never runs dry. When a gardener prunes the branches of a tree, the branch does not understand why it must hurt, but the gardener knows that without cutting away the excess, the tree cannot bear much fruit. You are the same. There are seasons when I allow you to walk through loss, not to destroy you, but to teach your soul to stop clinging to things that quickly pass away. I am teaching you to discern what belongs to eternity and what is only a mist that disappears at dawn. For as it is written in 2 Corinthians 4:18, the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Human beings often look at what their eyes can touch, but I want you to learn how to see with your soul. Do not be afraid of seasons of solitude. My child, many times, it is precisely where the noise of the world is gone that you can hear my voice most clearly. There are things I cannot speak to you amid the chaotic crowd of desires, anxieties, and the voices of the world, so I lead you into stillness, not to abandon you, but so that your heart will no longer be scattered. Remember the prophet Elijah. After he had passed through great battles and his soul was exhausted by fear, I did not come in the mighty wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fierce fire. I came in a gentle, quiet whisper. My child, there are seasons when I do not act in the loud way you expected, because I am teaching you to recognize my presence in things that are very deep and tender. My beloved child, do not think that the years of waiting are useless. There is no one I use who has not first been prepared in secret. Moses once thought his life had ended in the wilderness after he fled from Egypt. 40 years of tending sheep in the desert made him believe he had been forgotten. But it was in that barren place that I taught him the gentleness, patience, and compassion needed for one who would lead my people. If Moses had stepped into his calling too early, still carrying the anger of his youth, he would have wounded more than he healed. Therefore, I allowed time to refine him in silence before placing the staff of deliverance in his hand. Joseph was the same. The dreams I gave him did not come to immediately lift him onto a throne. He had to pass through the pit of betrayal, through the life of slavery, and even through the coldness of prison But, my child, it was in that darkness that I taught him how to remain faithful when no one was watching, how to stand firm when he was misunderstood, and how to forgive when he had been wounded. Without the prison, there would not have been a Joseph mature enough to save an entire nation from famine. Do you see, I am not only concerned with where you are going, I am concerned with the person you will become when you arrive there. And look up to David, the one who was anointed as king, yet still had to wander through caves during the days when he was being hunted. Perhaps on many nights he wondered why my promise was taking so long. But during those years, I transformed a shepherd boy into a man who knew how to rely on me in the midst of danger. I taught him that a crown is not held by human strength, but by a heart that knows how to surrender. My child, if today you feel as though you are being held back, do not despair. Perhaps I am not delaying the promise. I am completing the work within your soul. Even Jesus Christ, my beloved Son, lived most of his life in hiddenness before stepping into his ministry. 30 quiet years before 3 years of fulfilling the mission of redemption. This is so you may understand that heaven does not hurry the way the world does. People only see the moment when the light bursts forth. But I see the entire process of preparation behind that light. No one is sent out without first being purified. No one is entrusted with the anointing oil without first learning how to kneel in humility. Therefore, when you feel as though your life is slowing down, do not think that I have forgotten you. There are times when I draw you back from the crowd in order to lead you deeper into spiritual depth. There are doors that close because if you entered too soon, what was inside would destroy you instead of lifting you up. I see what you do not yet see. I know what you do not yet understand. And when your strength is exhausted, do not try to continue by your own power. Draw near to me, for as Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." I do not despise your weakness. It is precisely when you realize how deeply you need me that the waters of life can flow most powerfully within you. Now, my beloved child, I want you to know that your seasons of preparation are no longer meaningless. I am causing every wound you once carried to become a place where healing is revealed. The tears you once wiped away in silence will become compassion for other hurting souls. You will not speak of hope as a distant theory. You will speak from the experience of one whom I once pulled out of the depths. The scars you once wanted to hide will one day become evidence that I can restore what seemed completely broken. I am lighting the lamp within you, not only to illuminate your own path, but so that you may carry that light into places that are sinking in darkness. Because you have passed through the long night and still held on to faith, your words will have the power to lift up those who are in despair. Because you have been comforted in sorrow, your embrace will know how to heal those who are weeping. When one day, when you look back on the journey you have walked, you will understand that not one trial I allowed to come upon you was meaningless. All of it is leading you toward the moment. I have appointed the moment when you rise in my light and become an instrument that brings life to many. My beloved child, I never created you to chase after the approval of the world. Human beings often try to climb to high places so they may be recognized, so their names may be remembered, so their voices may echo among the crowd. But what pleases me has never been outward prominence. What I seek has always been a soul that knows how to bow in obedience. There are people praised by the whole world, yet their hearts are far from me. There are also people who live quietly, known by almost no one. Yet every step they take in faithfulness causes heaven to rejoice. Therefore, my child, do not measure the value of your life by the fleeting standards of mankind. I have not called you to become great according to the world's definition. I have called you to reflect my nature in the midst of a generation that is gradually losing its light. Your obedience is far more precious than you realize. Each time you choose to do what is right, even when no one sees. Each time you say yes while your heart is still trembling. each time you decide to follow my voice instead of the noise of the crowd. Heaven bears witness. There are movements in the spiritual realm that your eyes cannot see. One sincere act of surrender can open what human strength could never accomplish. Remember Mary, the young woman from Nazareth, when the angel announced that she would conceive the Holy Son. Every human logic was unable to comprehend it. That agreement could have caused her to be misunderstood, rejected, and even stoned according to the law of that time. Yet in the midst of fear and confusion, she answered, "I am the Lord's servant. May it happen to me according to your word." My child, that single yes opened the way for my plan of redemption to enter the world. You do not know what will be released when you choose to trust me more than your own safety. I know there are nights when your heart is filled with voices that make you shrink back. The fear of failure slips into your mind like darkness covering the sky. At times you wonder whether you are capable enough, strong enough, worthy enough. But my beloved child, you are looking at yourself too much and forgetting to look at me. Faith does not grow by staring at the storm. Faith grows when your eyes turn toward the one who stands above the storm. When Peter stepped onto the water to come to Jesus Christ, he truly walked in the midst of the raging sea. But the very moment he looked at the storm instead of looking at the Lord, he began to sink. You are the same. If your eyes remain fixed only on the things that frighten you, your heart will be swallowed by anxiety. But if you turn your soul toward me, you will realize that no wave is greater than the hand that is holding you. Do not forget what I spoke in Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. I did not promise that you would never pass through trials, but I promised that trials would not be able to destroy you when I am with you. There are battles I do not immediately remove from your life because I am using those very battles to teach you to know my power more deeply. Human beings often only want to escape pain, but I look beyond the present moment. I see who you will become after you pass through that fire. A soul that has never been refined is easily broken under great pressure, but a soul that has learned to cling to me in the dark night will not be easily shaken by any wind of the world. My child, the world around you is sinking into chaos. Fear, deception, and darkness are spreading like a thick night covering the hearts of people. Many have lost their direction because they run after the noise of the world and can no longer hear the voice from eternity. But in this very hour, I am calling my lamps to rise. Light was not created to hide itself in darkness. Light exists to shine. And you, my beloved child, were made for this moment. It is not by accident that you are living in this present generation. It is not without purpose that I allowed you to go through what you have endured. Every wound, every time you rose again, every night you quietly fought in faith has been preparing you to become my witness in the midst of a lost age. Remember Esther. She was once only an orphaned young woman among an exiled people. Yet I brought her into the palace for a special time. When danger overshadowed my people, she was afraid. She hesitated, because stepping forward could mean losing her life. But then Mordecai said to her, "Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, my child?" That is also the word I want to speak to you today. Perhaps you have wondered why you had to go through so many difficult things, why your soul had to be trained through so many seasons of pain. But those very things have been preparing you for this present moment, the moment when you no longer live only for yourself, but so that you may bring my light to others. Do not hide the light I have placed within you any longer. You do not need to become like anyone else in order for me to use you. A small candle in the darkness is still enough to lead a lost person back to the right direction. What I need is not false perfection, but a heart that dares to let me use it. When you surrender, you are opening the door for the power from heaven to work through your life. When you trust even though you do not yet understand everything, you are declaring that my love is more trustworthy than every limited reasoning of mankind. Trust is not having every answer in your hands. Trust is still walking when you can only see one step ahead. It is when Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going. It is when the people of Israel stepped down into the Jordan River before the waters parted. It is when you kneel in the midst of helplessness and still believe that I am working, even though your eyes have not yet seen anything change. My beloved child, when you live by that kind of trust, heaven begins to move through your life. And now, I speak to you, do not be afraid anymore. Do not let doubt dim the light I have placed within your soul. Rise up in faith. Walk in my peace, for you are not walking alone. I go before you to open the way. I go behind you to protect you. My hand is covering your life on every side, and no matter how thick the darkness may become, my light within you is still stronger than all of it. My beloved child, never think that I have called you into this journey only to leave you to fight alone in the storms of life. I am not like human beings, promising today and forgetting tomorrow. What I speak, I uphold. What I begin, I complete. When I place a calling upon your life, I also place my hand upon you to guide every step. Perhaps your eyes have not yet seen the things I promised become reality. But what is unseen does not mean I have stopped working. Beneath the deep soil of your waiting days, the seed I planted in your soul is still quietly growing. There are prayers you thought were so small that they could not make any difference. Nights when you only knew how to sigh instead of forming words. Times when you knelt down in weariness and your heart no longer had the strength to believe as firmly as before. But my child, not one cry falls to the ground without me hearing it. Each time you still choose to seek me in weakness, you are watering the spiritual field of your life. And a day will come when you see what I've been quietly doing throughout all these years. As it is written in Galatians 6:9, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap. If we do not give up, some harvests do not come immediately, but that does not mean the seed has died. I am working in my timing, not according to human impatience. Therefore, do not look at someone else's journey and allow your heart to become heavy. There are people I allow to move quickly because what they carry is different from what I have entrusted to you. There are people who must be prepared in silence for a longer time because the mission they have received requires greater depth. A great tree does not grow overnight. The deeper the roots must go, the longer the preparation must be. My child, I do not write every story the same way. What I desire from you is not competition, but faithfulness. People often look at results to measure a life, but I look at whether the heart still endures when no one applauds, when nothing is yet clear, and when the promise still seems far away. Remember Noah. For many years he built the ark in the midst of a generation that had never seen a great rain. People may have laughed at him, seeing him as a foolish man, exhausting himself for something invisible. But Noah did not live according to the laughter of the crowd. He lived according to the word I had spoken. And when the flood came, what had once been despised became the very place that saved his entire family. My child, there will be times when your obedience looks meaningless in the eyes of the world, but do not let that cause you to shrink back. Not everything I do is understood in the present moment. There are seeds whose value is only recognized when the harvest comes. I also want you to learn how to be patient with yourself. There are days when you feel disappointed because you think you have not changed enough, have not become strong enough, have not grown enough. But I see what you do not see. I see every time you rise again after failure. I see every hidden battle you have overcome that no one else knows about. I see that your soul today is very different from before, even though you have not fully realized it yet. A father does not despise his child who is learning to walk simply because the child still stumbles. I am the same. My love for you does not rise and fall according to your success or failure. That love remains steadfast because you belong to me, my beloved child. It is time for you to stop living inside the cage of fear. I did not create you to hide forever in the place of safety. If Peter had not stepped out of the boat, he would never have known that my power could lift a human being to walk upon the water. If Abraham had not left his homeland, he would not have seen the land I promised. There are miracles that only appear on the other side of obedience. And sometimes, what holds you back is not a lack of ability, but the fear of stepping into the unknown. But my child, your future is not in the hands of fear. Your future is in my hands. I am the one who has already gone before you into tomorrow. There is no place where your feet will step that I have not already been present. Therefore, stop shrinking back among the voices that make you doubt your own worth. Rise as one who knows that they belong to the light. You are no longer a victim of the past. You are no longer defined by the times you once fell. In me, you are being transformed into a warrior of light. Use your very life to speak of me, not only with your mouth, but through the way you love, the way you forgive, the way you lift up the weak, and the way you keep your heart tender in a world filled with bitterness. True love always carries a power that darkness cannot resist. When you choose to love where it would be easy to hate, heaven is moving through you. When you pray in faith, even with very small words, the spiritual realm still trembles. James wrote that the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Do not take lightly the moments when you are alone with me. There are victories that are decided in the place of prayer before they ever appear in the visible world. And now, my beloved child, I am calling you to walk more boldly. Do not continue delaying what I have placed within your heart. Do not wait until you feel completely ready before you step out. Because if you rely only on your feelings, you will always find a reason to hesitate. Walk by faith. Speak what I have placed in your heart. Open your arms to the weary souls around you. For the appointed time I have set for your life is not forever somewhere far ahead. It begins with your obedience today. But as you walk, always remember this: you never walk alone. In the days of joy, I am there. In the nights when you cry and no one sees, I am there as well. When you are strong, I rejoice with you. When you are weak, I lift you up. If you lose your way, I will draw you back with love, not with rejection. For I am the shepherd who watches over your soul. As Jesus Christ has said, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Therefore, my child, keep your eyes lifted toward heaven rather than fixed on the chaos below. Keep your heart tender so that I may still touch it. Keep your ears more sensitive to my voice than to the voice of the crowd. You were not born by accident in this age. I appointed a purpose for your life before you ever cried your first cry. And every step you take in faith carries the mark of heaven. One day, when I reveal myself through your life, many will recognize that my love, healing, and light are still alive and moving in this world. My beloved child, before you ever cried your first cry on this earth, I knew your name. Before your eyes saw the sunlight, your soul was already held within my purpose. You are not the result of coincidence, nor are you a lost fragment drifting through the undefined current of time. Before there were mountains, before there were great seas, before the stars were hung upon the night sky, I had already thought of you with perfect love. As it is written in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart, my child. This means your life did not begin at the moment you were born. It began in my eternal heart. There are things your soul does not fully understand in the present, because a finite mind cannot contain the full depth of my plan. But I am gradually opening your spiritual eyes so that you may recognize that every stage of your journey carries the trace of my hand. Even the paths that made you think you were lost were, in truth, still within my permission. There is no dark night you have passed through where I was not present. There is no depth into which you have fallen where my arm was not long enough to pull you out. There are seasons in life when you thought you were only enduring meaninglessly. But in truth, I was quietly preparing you for something far greater than what you can see today. Do you remember the nights when you cried in silence? The times when you looked around and found no one who understood what you were carrying inside? Perhaps you asked yourself why I had remained silent for so long, why the prayer seemed unanswered, why you had to pass through so many wounds. But my beloved child, my silence is not my absence. When a seed lies beneath the soil, from the outside it may look as though nothing is happening. But deep within, life is moving. In the same way, in the days when you thought everything was standing still, I was still weaving your future with the invisible threads of grace. I saw every tear you shed in the night. I heard even the prayers you had not yet spoken aloud. And as David once wrote in the Psalms, I keep your tears in my bottle. Not one of your sorrows is taken lightly before me. People may forget your sacrifices, misunderstand your kindness, and turn away when you need them most. But I do not forget. I see everything. I see the times you gave and received nothing in return. I see the moments when you lifted others up while you yourself were left behind in loneliness. I see even the moments when you tried to keep a smile on your face while your soul was exhausted. My child, these very things are creating depth within you. A heart that has never been broken will struggle to understand healing. A soul that has never passed through loneliness will struggle to carry true comfort to others. Therefore, do not curse the painful seasons you have endured. I did not cause every wound you suffered, but I can use all of it to bring forth what is good. As it is written in Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those who love God. That includes even the wounds you thought had destroyed you. In my hands, even ashes can become the foundation upon which something beautiful and new is built. Remember Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold like a piece of merchandise, falsely accused, and forgotten in a dark prison. Perhaps on many nights he also wondered why his life was filled with so much injustice. But every painful event was carrying him toward the position I had appointed for him. Without the deep pit, there would have been no palace later on. Without the prison, there would have been no Joseph mature enough to save many people from famine. My beloved child, there are things that today look like delay, but in truth, they are preparation. I am not only concerned with where you will go, I am building the person you will become when you arrive there. Do not be afraid if the ground around you is shaking. There are seasons when I allow everything to be shaken so that you may know what is truly steadfast. Human beings often cling to temporary things and forget that I alone am the unchanging rock. When every familiar support is taken away, your soul will learn how to anchor itself in me, and then you will realize that what has kept you standing was never your own strength, but my hand that has never let go of your life. My beloved child, I am awakening within you a new awareness that you were not born merely to survive through the days. You are called to carry my light into this world. There are people who will find hope again simply because they see the way you rise after sorrow. There are souls who will believe they are still loved when they see the love that remains in you after all you have been through. Your scars will one day become testimonies of my mercy. Remember the story of Ruth, the widowed woman who walked through loss and an uncertain future. She left her homeland, carrying pain and emptiness. Not knowing what lay ahead, Yet there, in the quiet field where she gleaned grain, I was leading her into a plan greater than she could imagine. From a wounded foreign woman, I placed her in the lineage that would lead to the Savior. Do you see, my child? I can turn what seems like an ending into the beginning of something eternal. What matters is not only what you have lost, but whether you still trust me in the midst of that loss. Therefore today, I want you to lift up your head. Do not live like someone who has been forgotten. Do not let the past define your future. What others have done to you cannot cancel what I have appointed for your life. I am opening new doors that you once thought were closed forever. I am reviving the parts of your soul that you thought had died because of disappointment. And one day, you will look back on every path you have walked and understand that not one tear was useless. Not one dark night was meaningless. All of it has been leading you to the moment when my light shines powerfully through your life, so that many may know that I am still the God of restoration, of hope, and of love that never forsakes. My beloved child, let your soul rest in me. I see the burdens you are silently carrying, the thoughts that never truly seem to stop, the worries that repeat again and again in your mind like restless waves. You try to predict the future, try to keep everything within your grasp, try to control things that are beyond your finite ability. But my child, how many times has worry truly added even one day of peace to your life? Jesus Christ said, "Which of you by worrying can add even 1 hour to your life?" Anxiety cannot open the door of tomorrow. It only steals the peace I have given you in the present. I did not create you to carry the burden of controlling everything. There are matters that belong in my hands, not on your shoulders. When you try to hold on to everything, your soul becomes exhausted by things it was never created to bear. Learn to lay them down before me, not surrendering in despair, but yielding yourself in trust. A child sleeps peacefully in the arms of his father, not because he understands everything happening around him, but because he knows the one holding him will not let him fall. I want you to learn that same rest in me. There are times when you do not understand why I have not yet opened the door. There are prayers that still seem to remain in silence. But, my beloved child, I see what you do not yet see. You only see a small stretch of the road before you, but I see your entire journey. I see what is waiting ahead, the dangers you have not yet recognized, the paths that seem good but would wound your soul if you entered them too soon. Therefore, if I delay something, it is not because I have forgotten you, but because my love is protecting you in a way you do not yet fully understand today. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Red Sea. Before them was deep water, and behind them was the enemy in pursuit. Everything seemed to have come to an end, but what they thought was a dead end was the very place where I revealed my greatest power. I did not open the sea before they arrived there. I opened the sea at the exact moment I had appointed. My child, there are miracles that do not come early, according to human impatience. Yet they never come later than my perfect timing. What I ask of you is to keep your heart still enough to continue trusting when your eyes have not yet seen the way. Do not allow your heart to be pulled down by comparison. There are times when you look at others and wonder why they are moving faster, being used more powerfully, and being seen more clearly. But my child, every soul has its own journey that I have prepared for them. Some people are called to bloom quickly before the eyes of the crowd, but there are also those whom I keep longer in hiddenness because I am building a deeper foundation within them. The higher a house is meant to rise, the stronger its foundation must be. If I spend much time preparing you, it is not because you have been forgotten, but because what I have placed upon your life requires a depth that only seasons of waiting can form. I know you have grown weary from loving without being loved in return. There were times when you opened your heart sincerely and received only misunderstanding. There were moments when you gave everything you had, only to be left alone in the end. But, my beloved child, not one moment is wasted in my hands. Those very wounds are making your heart more tender toward the pain of others. A person who has never been broken often struggles to understand the cry of a soul in despair. But you, because you have passed through the dark night, will know how to hold others with true compassion, not merely with words. Remember Joseph. He was once sold by his own brothers, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. But one day, he understood that everything that seemed to be working against him was, in truth, serving my greater plan. He said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." My child, that is also what I am doing in your life. The things that once caused you pain have no right to define your destiny. In my hands, even broken pieces can become the foundation upon which something more beautiful is built. And now, I want you to hear this clearly. Your season of waiting is not endless. There are doors that have now come to the time of opening. There are seeds buried deep in tears that are now beginning to sprout. The things you once only sensed faintly in your soul will gradually become clear. I am bringing what has been hidden into the light, not so that you may be exalted in the way the world seeks, but so that your life may become evidence of my faithfulness. You once wondered why I chose you among so many people who seemed more capable, stronger, and more gifted. But my beloved child, I do not see as human beings see. People are often drawn to appearance, talent, and strength. But I looked deeply into the heart. I saw the times you still chose what was right even when no one was watching. I saw that when every reason to keep believing seemed to disappear, you still held on to a small ray of hope directed toward me. I saw that your soul still desired to live in truth, even when it made you lonely. That quiet faithfulness is more precious before me than many outwardly dazzling things. Remember David, when the prophet Samuel came to Jesse's house to anoint the future king. The strongest and most impressive sons were brought forward first, but I did not choose them. I chose the young shepherd boy out in the fields, the one no one thought of. For as I have spoken, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. My child, I am also seeing in you what the world has not yet recognized. I see a heart that knows how to surrender. I see a soul that is willing to let me lead, and that is what I am seeking. Therefore, do not be afraid anymore. You do not need to see the entire road before you can take a step. Abraham left his homeland without knowing exactly where he was going. Peter stepped out of the boat while the sea was still raging. Faith is not understanding everything. Faith is continuing to walk even when many things are still unclear. When I call, I also provide. When I send, I also equip. I never place a burden upon you without giving enough grace for you to carry it. So today, my beloved child, stop resisting in weariness. Lay your head upon my chest and let your soul rest. Let me be God in your life instead of trying to control everything by yourself. For no power in heaven or on earth can stop what I have appointed when my time has come. I am faithful from everlasting to everlasting, and the work I have begun in you, I will surely complete with my own mighty and loving hand. My beloved child, there are seasons in life that look on the outside like brokenness, but in truth, they are the beginning of a new work I am quietly building. Human beings often fear change because they are used to clinging to familiar things, even when those things no longer lead them to the place I have appointed. But I, the one who sees from beginning to end, you know when the old must be taken down so the new can be built. If a builder keeps holding on to a foundation that has already decayed, the house will eventually collapse. Therefore, there are times when I allow certain things to leave your life, not to take from you, but to save you from what would hinder the purpose I have prepared for you. When you lost what you once considered your support, you cried many tears and wondered why I was silent. There were doors that closed so suddenly they made you feel as though the whole world around you was collapsing. But my child, what you call an ending is often only the redirection of my hand. When one path is closed, it is not always punishment. Many times, it is mercy keeping you from stepping into a place that would wound your soul even more deeply. As it is written in Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. You only see the door that has just closed, but I see the eternal road ahead. There are people I allow to enter your life only for a brief season. You once felt pain because you thought that if they truly loved you, they would have stayed. But my beloved child, not everyone who comes is appointed to walk with you until the end of the journey. Some encounters are only meant to teach you a lesson, to awaken something within your soul, or to prepare you for something greater ahead. And when their season has passed, I allow them to leave in order to make room for people who are more aligned with the future I have prepared for you. Do not keep holding on to what I am asking you to release. A hand that keeps gripping the past will struggle to receive the new thing I am placing before it. My child, you have entered the time I call the season of being revealed, not so that you may be lifted up in the way the world seeks, but so that my presence may be reflected through your life. The world is filled with false voices, weary souls, and hearts that no longer know what hope is. I am looking for those who dare to stand in the midst of darkness and still carry light. Those who do not merely speak about love, but live by love even when they have been wounded. Those who do not merely speak about faith, but continue to walk when everything around them seems to be falling apart. And my beloved child, I have used your very journey to prepare you for this. The sleepless nights you endured were not meaningless. The prayers you whispered through tears did not vanish into empty space. The wounds you once thought would destroy you are now becoming testimonies of my grace. A soul that has never been crushed often struggles to understand true healing. But you, because you have passed through many seasons of pain, will know how to touch others with a gentleness that only those who have been healed by me can possess. As Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 1:4, I comfort you in all your troubles, so that you may also comfort others with the very comfort you have received from me. Remember Peter? He once boldly declared that he would never deny Jesus Christ. Yet he fell in fear when the rooster crowed. Perhaps he thought his life was no longer worthy of being used. But after that brokenness, I did not cast him away. I restored him, and the very man who had failed so painfully became a strong rock to support many other souls. My child, I am not surprised by your weakness. I knew every stumble of yours beforehand, and still I called you with love. What I seek is not a person who has never fallen, but a soul that knows how to return to me after every fall. From the very first moment the breath of life entered you, I placed within your soul a mark that belongs to heaven. There were times when you did not understand why your heart always longed for something deeper than ordinary life. You tried to fill that emptiness with many things: success, recognition, affection, new goals, yet deep within, a quiet call continued to echo. That is because your soul was created for me. As St. Augustine once said, the human heart will not rest until it rests in God. I saw the days when you wandered in doubt, the times when you asked, are you truly present? The moments when you were so tired that you no longer even wanted to pray. But my beloved child, even when you turned away, I never took my eyes off you. When you thought you were walking alone in the darkness, I was the small light patiently guiding your way. There were times when you thought you had lifted yourself up after failure, But in truth, my hand was raising you from beneath. I allowed your soul to pass through seasons of brokenness, not to destroy you, but to break open the hard shell that self-reliance had formed. A vessel must become soft in the potter's hands before it can take on a new shape. In the same way, there are truths I can only place within you when you stop resisting with your own ego. When you no longer try to prove that you are strong enough, you will begin to understand where true strength comes from. As I spoke to Paul, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore today, my beloved child, stop being afraid of what is changing around you. If I am removing something, trust that I am preparing something better. If I am leading you through a season of transition, remember that I never bring you into any place where my grace is not enough to keep you. Open your heart to the calling I am placing within your soul. Be courageous enough to walk even when you cannot yet see the whole road. For you are no longer living merely to survive through the days. You are being appointed to become a living sign of my love, my restoration, and my light in the midst of a generation grown weary from darkness. And as you walk in that surrender, I will cause every step you take to carry a peace the world cannot understand. I will make the words you speak become encouragement to those who are in despair. I will use the very story of your life to heal souls who believe they are too broken to be saved. For when I reveal myself through a life that has once been crushed but still knows how to love, the whole world will recognize that my grace is still alive and that my love has never departed from mankind. My beloved child, never think that your life is only a small and meaningless dot in the vast current of this world. Before human eyes, you may feel ordinary, small, and even easy to forget. But in my sight, your life carries the weight of eternal purpose. I did not create you as a wandering soul without direction. I placed you in the right age, the right circumstances, and the right journey that I had appointed beforehand. As it is written in Acts 17:26, I have determined the appointed times and boundaries of each person. This means that your presence on this earth is not accidental. It is part of my divine design. There are times when you look at the chaotic world around you and wonder what a small life like yours could possibly change. But my child, even a small lamp can tear through the darkness of an entire room. One voice of truth can awaken a sleeping soul, and one heart that belongs completely to me can become a doorway for heaven to touch the earth. Do not underestimate what I can do through a surrendered life. When I chose David, he was only a forgotten shepherd boy out in the fields. When I called Jeremiah, he was only a trembling young man who thought he did not know how to speak. When I found Gideon, he was hiding in the winepress because he felt weak and inadequate. But I did not see them according to their present limitations. I saw them according to what I could do through them. My beloved child, the fire within your soul does not come from this world. There have been times when you thought you were about to go out beneath pressure, weariness, and disappointment. Yet something within you still urged you to rise once more. That was not merely human willpower. That was the breath of my Holy Spirit still quietly burning within you. As I spoke in Isaiah 42:3, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. My child, even when the light within you remains only like a small ember, I still protect it with my love until it burns brightly again. Do not curse the trials you have passed through. Human beings often only want comfort, but I know there are things only fire can produce. Gold must pass through the furnace before it becomes pure. A sword must endure the blows of the hammer and intense heat before it becomes strong enough for battle. And you are the same. The days when you cried in loneliness, the battles no one saw, the times when you thought you were being crushed, none of these were meant to destroy you. I am removing from you the things that do not belong to your true destiny. Each pain is another moment when I touch more deeply into your soul to reveal my image within you. Remember Jacob. He once wrestled all night with the angel and came away with a limp in his hip. Outwardly, it looked like an injury, but in truth, it was the mark of transformation. He was no longer the old Jacob. He became Israel, the one who wrestled with God and prevailed. My child, there are battles you are going through, not to destroy you, but to rename your soul. After that dark night, you will no longer be the same person who once lived in fear and shame. I want you to understand that the greatest battle around you is not only what your eyes can see. There is a deeper war taking place every day, the war between light and darkness, between truth and deception. Many souls are weary, lost, and bound by a despair they do not even know how to name. And for this very reason, I am calling those who carry light to rise, not those who consider themselves perfect, but those who have been touched by my grace and are willing to let me use them. My beloved child, the things that make you different are not flaws. There have been times when you felt that you did not belong among the crowd because your heart responded differently. Your thoughts moved differently, and your soul longed for something deeper than what the world is chasing. You once tried to hide this so you could blend in with others. But I tell you the truth, those very things are traces of my calling upon your life. The dreams others called too great. The desires you once thought were unrealistic. The sensitive places in your soul that the world called weakness, all of them can become instruments in my hands if you place them under my light. Just as Esther was once placed in the palace for such a time as this. You too are living in the time I have appointed for you. This world does not need more voices repeating the same chaos. It needs souls who dare to stand in truth and love. It needs people who do not merely speak about hope, but carry hope to others through their very lives. And my child, I am calling you to step into that place. Do not be afraid when you feel that you are not enough. Moses once said he was not eloquent in speech. Jeremiah thought he was too young. Gideon believed he was the weakest in his father's house. But I never needed their own strength to perform miracles. What I needed was their willingness. When I call, I also equip. When I send, I also go with you. You do not need to know the entire journey ahead. You only need to trust the next step I am showing you. My beloved child, engrave this deeply within your heart. You are not alone. There are times when your eyes see only darkness and you feel surrounded. But heaven is never withdrawn from you. Remember the story of Elisha. When his servant was terrified because the enemy army surrounded the city, Elisha prayed that the servant's eyes would be opened, and he saw the mountains full of chariots and horses of fire from the army of God. My child, what the natural eye cannot see does not mean it does not exist. I have commanded my angels to guard you in all your ways. There is an entire army of heaven moving under my command for those who belong to me. Therefore today, I speak to you, arise. Do not continue shrinking back in fear or shame. Do not let the past silence your calling. The days of hiding are passing away. I am breathing new life into your soul. Open your mouth and speak the words of life I have placed within your heart. Walk with a courage that does not come from yourself, but from knowing that I am with you. Though the road ahead may hold many trials, I will be your strength when you are weary, your provision when you are lacking, and your refuge when the storms arise. And then, my beloved child, as you continue to walk in that surrender, many people will see not your own glory, but my light shining through a life that was once broken and yet restored by grace. They will recognize that I am still alive, still healing, and still calling souls to rise in the midst of this dark age to bring my eternal light into the world. My beloved child, I am awakening within you a new life that no power of darkness can extinguish. There are days when your soul feels so weary that it seems the fire within you has become nothing more than a weak ember. You have grown too familiar with doubting yourself, too familiar with the quiet voices telling you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not important enough to be used by me. But today, I want you to hear my voice clearly, above every other voice. You were not created to live curled up in the darkness of insecurity. I have placed my breath within you, and that breath carries life, power, and light from heaven. From the beginning, the enemy has always wanted to make you forget who you are. He sows lies into your mind, telling you that you are small, failed, and useless, because he knows that if you truly recognize what I have placed within your soul, many chains will be broken through your life. But my beloved child, light does not need to ask darkness for permission to shine. When I kindle a fire within you, no night can stop that light from spreading. As Jesus Christ said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." You were not created to hide forever in fear. You were called to shine in the midst of a generation that is gradually forgetting what hope is. I know there are fears that have kept you silent for too long. You fear being misunderstood. You fear being rejected. You fear that if you live truthfully, according to what I have placed in your heart, others may no longer accept you. But my child, if you live only to please the world, your soul will slowly lose its freedom. There are people who are liked by everyone yet drift far from the purpose I have prepared for them. There are also those who must walk alone for a season. Yet every step they take causes heaven to rejoice because they remain faithful to my calling. Remember John the Baptist. He did not live to please the crowd. He was the voice crying in the wilderness, awakening souls that had fallen asleep amid religious formality and spiritual pretense. Some considered him extreme, others rejected him. But he did not allow human approval to determine his obedience to me. My beloved child, I am also calling you to live with that kind of courage. Not a harsh courage filled with pride, but a steadfast faithfulness that does not waver under the pressure of the world. You will realize that the journey of belonging to me is not always comfortable. There are places where I send you that others will not understand. There are times when you speak the truth and receive only silence or opposition in return. But do not let that make you shrink back. Jesus Christ himself was rejected by the very people he loved. Light always makes darkness uncomfortable because it exposes what has been hidden. But my child, I have not called you to seek comfort. I have called you to carry life. There are seeds I have already planted in the hearts of others, and you are the one being sent to awaken them. A word of encouragement from you can keep a soul from despair. A sincere embrace can heal a heart that thought it had been forgotten. A quiet prayer from you can open a door that human strength could never open. You cannot see everything that is happening in the spiritual realm, but every act done in love and faith creates ripples far beyond what the natural eye can perceive. Remember the story of the boy who brought 5 loaves and 2 fish. In human hands, it was only a small portion of food, seemingly insignificant before the crowd. But when it was placed in the hands of Jesus Christ, that little offering became a miracle that fed thousands. My beloved child, you often look at yourself like that boy, thinking that what you have is too small, too weak, too ordinary. But I do not need your perfection. I only need your willingness to place what you have in my hands. When you surrender, I will do what is far beyond anything you can imagine. I am removing from your soul the fear of man, because it is one of the strongest chains that keeps you from stepping into the freedom I have prepared for you. As long as you allow the opinions of others to rule your heart, it will be difficult for you to hear my voice clearly. But when you begin to love truth more than approval, you will walk with far greater lightness. As it is written in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. My child, the courage I desire in you is not so that you may prove yourself greater than anyone else, but so that you may be free enough to live according to what I have called you to become. I am refining you like steel in the fire, not so that you become cold or hardened, but so that your soul may become steadfast enough in the midst of a world filled with pressure and chaos. There are people who collapse at the first trial because their faith has never been tested. But you, through the dark nights, through the times you rose again in tears, are learning how to cling to me more deeply, and that very thing is forming true strength within you. My beloved child, this world is filled with souls asleep in busyness and false peace. People laugh and speak, yet inwardly they are empty. They have many connections, yet their souls remain lonely. And I am calling those who carry light to step forward and awaken them through love, through truth, and through real life. You do not need to shout loudly in order to have influence. Many times, a life filled with peace in the midst of chaos is enough to make others wonder where that light comes from. Therefore, when you speak, speak with the fire of faith, not with the anger of the ego. When you serve, serve with gentle hands that have been touched by grace. When you walk, walk with the peace of one who knows they are not walking alone. For every time you act in my name, heaven is moving with you. There are battles won not by human strength, but by a quiet intercession offered through tears. There are chains broken simply because one person dares to love in a place filled with hatred. My beloved child, do not underestimate the small things I have entrusted to your hands today. A tiny mustard seed can still grow into a great tree. A small ray of light can still guide someone lost in the night. And a soul fully surrendered to me can still become a flame that awakens many others. Therefore, rise in my peace. Let the fire I have placed within you burn brightly, not to exalt yourself, but so that many may see that light and find their way back to my eternal love. My beloved child, I am leading you into a deeper place of communion with me, a place where you no longer live according to the fluctuations of your emotions, but learn to walk by the guidance of the Holy Spirit. There are days when your heart is filled with zealous fire, but there are also days when your soul feels dry and weary. If you follow only your feelings, you will easily lose your way amid those changing seasons. But I am teaching you something deeper than emotion: faithfulness. Faithfulness is when you still pray, even though you have not yet seen the answer. Still love, even when love is not returned. Still keep walking, even when your eyes have not yet seen the light at the end of the road. It is in those seasons that your faith is no longer a passing feeling, but becomes the true foundation of your soul. Do not think that the path I lead you on will always be comfortable. There are narrow roads that will require you to let go of many things you once clung to. There are moments when you feel as though no one understands what is happening within you. But my child, do not fear the solitude of those seasons. Many times, it is precisely in the quiet place, where the noise of the world is gone, that you can hear my voice most clearly. Jesus Christ also withdrew into the wilderness to be alone with the Father before stepping into ministry. Moses encountered me in the burning bush in the desert. Elijah heard my voice, not in the mighty wind or the earthquake, but in the gentle whisper amid solitude. My beloved child, do not despise the seasons when I draw you away from the crowd. That is not abandonment. It is an invitation to enter into depth. There are times when you ask me to speed everything up. You want to see the door open immediately. You want to see fruit appear before your eyes at once. But I am the God of process, not haste. I do not build eternal things on shallow foundations. A wise gardener does not expect a tree to bear fruit before its roots have grown deep enough. If a tree grows too quickly while its roots are not yet firm, the first wind can knock it down. Therefore, While you are fixed on looking for the blossom, I am quietly caring for the roots within your soul. The days that seem as though nothing is happening are, in truth, the times when I am doing the deepest work. I am teaching you how to cling to me, not merely to cling to spiritual excitement. I am causing your faith to take root deeply in the soil of truth, so that when the storms of disappointment, misunderstanding, and trial come, you will not be uprooted. As it is written in Psalm 1, the one who places their trust in the Lord will be like a tree planted by streams of water, whose leaf does not wither, and who bears fruit in its season. My child, I do not only want you to bloom for a few moments, I want you to stand firm throughout the journey of your life. You often ask me to open the way for influence, for a voice, and for greater usefulness. But I look deeper than what you are asking for. I know which shoulders are strong enough to carry what I am preparing to entrust. A crown looks beautiful from afar, but the one who wears it must be mature enough not to be crushed by its weight. Therefore, I am not refusing what I have promised you. I am preparing you for it. There are people who step into position too early and then lose themselves amid the exaltation of the world. But I love you too much to allow that to happen. Remember Joseph? He received the dream very early, but he had to pass through many years of betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before stepping into a place of authority. If I had placed him on the throne while he was still young, pride and immaturity could have destroyed him. But through the years of being forgotten, I taught him humility, patience, and forgiveness. And when the time came, he was no longer the impulsive young man who only knew how to boast about his dream. He had become mature enough to save many people from famine. My beloved child, your seasons of delay are not meaningless. I am preparing your character to be worthy of what I will entrust to you. There are seasons when I allow you to be misunderstood, overlooked, and unrecognized. This brings pain to your heart, because you long to be seen and understood. But my child, I am teaching you a great secret. Your true worth is not found in the applause of human beings. If your soul depends on the recognition of others, you will easily be controlled by their opinions. Today they may praise you, and tomorrow they may turn away. But my love and my approval do not change according to the unstable emotions of the world. Jesus Christ was once praised by the crowds as he entered Jerusalem, but only a few days later, many of those same people cried out for him to be crucified. My child, human approval is fragile, like wind passing over a field of grass. If your identity is built upon it, your soul will always be restless. But when you know who you are in me, you will no longer live to seek the approval of the crowd. You will be free to love, to serve, and to walk in truth, whether others understand you or not. I know your heart longs to be used to touch the lives of others, and I take delight in that desire. But remember this, true influence does not begin with talent, it begins with identity. What gives a life spiritual weight is not merely words or ability, but how deeply that soul has been anchored in me. A tree does not stand firm because of its outward beauty, but because of its roots hidden deep beneath the ground. You are the same. What the world cannot see is what determines how long you will be able to stand. My beloved child, I am teaching you to live not so that others may look up to you, but so that your eyes may always look up to me. One who has not learned to kneel in the secret place will struggle to stand firm under the lights of exaltation. Therefore, I draw you into hidden seasons where no one sees the tears, the prayers, and the battles within you. But it is there that I am building a foundation no storm can destroy. Do not be afraid if this journey makes you feel different from the crowd. My calling upon your life is not meant for you to dissolve into the compromises of the world. I am forming within you a soul that knows how to stand firm in truth, while still keeping the tender heart of love. A soul that cannot be bought by fame, cannot be led by the fear of rejection, but is guided by my voice. Therefore, today, my beloved child, stop becoming impatient with your process. Let me deepen the roots of your soul before I bring you into the season of fruitfulness. Let me refine your character before entrusting you with greater things. And when you learn to seek my gaze more than human recognition, you will enter into a freedom the world cannot take away. Then your influence will no longer be a passing flash of lightning, but will become a stream of living water flowing through many lives, because it is not built upon your ego, but upon my eternal rock. My beloved child, I know there are nights when your heart longs to be loved so deeply that it feels as though you cannot bear loneliness any longer. You look at others who have a place to belong, a hand to hold, a gaze to lean upon, and your heart quietly wonders when it will be your turn. I hear all those sighs, even when you do not speak them aloud. But my child, I never withhold good things in order to wound you. If I allow you to wait, it is not because I have forgotten your need, but because I see something deeper than your present loneliness. There are wounds within your heart that have not yet fully healed. There are old memories that still quietly influence the way you love and the way you receive love. There are fears of being abandoned that have caused you to build walls you do not even realize are there. And my beloved child, if I placed someone into your life while your soul was still full of unhealed cracks, you might unintentionally turn love into a place where you seek salvation instead of a place where you share life. I do not want you to enter a relationship merely to fill the emptiness within you. I want you to enter love with a soul healed enough to love in freedom, not out of fear or dependence. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. She had gone through many relationships, yet her soul was still thirsty. It was not until she met Jesus Christ that she realized what she had been searching for all along was not merely human affection, but the living water that only I can give. My child, when your soul is filled in me, the love you receive will no longer be a lifebuoy for emptiness, but a beautiful gift between two people who know how to give from fullness. I am gently touching the deepest corners of your heart, the places that still hold bitterness, disappointment, and memories that have not truly been forgiven. There are things you have tried to forget, yet they still quietly shape the way you see yourself and others. But, my beloved child, I do not want you to live your whole life under the shadow of old wounds. I want to heal you at the root, not merely soothe the surface. A wound that is covered too soon can continue to be infected within. Therefore, sometimes I allow you to face your own pain, not to hurt you further, but so that my light may enter the place you once hid most deeply. You also carry within you the longing to have influence, to be used, to speak words that can touch the souls of others. I see that, and I take delight in your desire to serve. But, my child, before I bring someone into the light, I always teach them how to stand firm in the hidden place. People often only see the stage, but I see the years of kneeling in silence behind that stage. I see the prayers no one hears. I see the acts of service no one recognizes. I see the tears that fall while you continue to remain faithful, even when no one knows your name. Jesus Christ lived 30 hidden years before stepping into 3 years of public ministry. David learned how to worship me in the fields before standing before the people as a king. Joseph learned faithfulness in prison before being placed upon a throne of authority. My beloved child, I have never skipped the process of preparation, for if your soul is not deep enough, the light of attention can easily cause you to lose yourself. One who has not learned how to live before me in the secret place can very easily be swallowed by the applause of the crowd. There are seasons when I keep you in silence, not because I am not using you, but because I am building the foundation for what I will later do through your life. The higher a house is meant to rise, the deeper its foundation must be. Otherwise, the very weight of glory will cause it to collapse. I love you too much to allow you to step into something greater when your character is not yet strong enough to carry it. My child, do not misunderstand my delay. I am not postponing the promise. I am preparing you for that promise. There are doors I have not yet opened because I am first completing what is necessary within your soul. If I gave you what you ask for too soon, that very blessing could become a burden that crushes you. But when you are matured through the process, what I give will not destroy you, but will cause you to bear lasting fruit. Look at the great tree in the middle of the field. It does not compete with other trees over height. What keeps it standing firm through many seasons of storms is not its outward appearance, but the deep roots beneath the ground. You are the same. I am causing the roots of your soul to cling deeply to the soil of trust and surrender. Perhaps today others seem to be moving faster than you. Perhaps they are seeing more, notice more. But my beloved child, do not be quick to compare. What blooms quickly does not always stand long. I am building something lasting within you, not merely something radiant for a brief moment. As it is written in Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. I am never late, nor do I act in haste. My timing is guided by eternal wisdom, not by human impatience. When the true time comes, you will not need to strain yourself to hold on to what I give. You will have enough depth to carry it with humility and peace. Therefore today, my beloved child, stop resisting my process. Let me complete the work I am doing within you. While you long to see fruit, I am nourishing the roots. While you long to be lifted up, I am teaching you to bow low. While you long to be loved, I am healing your ability to love. While you long to be used powerfully, I am shaping a character strong enough not to collapse under the weight of the mission. Rest in me. Do not fear the seasons of silence. Do not despair over doors that remain closed. Do not think the hidden days are meaningless. It is precisely in that quiet place that I am forming a new person within you, a soul no longer controlled by recognition, no longer driven by the fear of lack, but anchored firmly in my love and my truth. And then, when my appointed time comes, you will step into what I promised not as a hungry soul trying to grasp everything, but as one who has been filled in me. Then the love you receive will be the giving of two free souls. The influence you carry will not be the false light of the ego, but the gentle reflection of my presence, and the blessing I entrust to you will not exhaust you, because you have been prepared to carry it with a mature, tender heart fully surrendered to me. My beloved child, there are movements taking place within your soul that your mind cannot yet explain in words. You only feel as though something inside you is awakening a very deep, very quiet trembling, yet more real than anything the world has ever given you. Do not be afraid of that feeling. It is not chaos. It is my presence, touching the deepest hidden place within you. There are things the natural eye has not yet seen, but the soul has already begun to recognize. Just as Elizabeth once felt the child in her womb leap for joy when Mary came near. There are moments when the body does not yet understand, but the soul already knows that heaven is very near. I am doing things far beyond what you can imagine right now. As it is written in 1 Corinthians 2:9, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man, the things which God has prepared for those who love him. My child, there are doors I am opening that you have not yet recognized. There are chains that have already begun to crack, even though your eyes have not yet seen them break apart. There are dark places within your soul where my light is slowly entering. Little by little, I do not always move with loud sounds or earth-shaking signs. Many times, I come like a gentle wind, like the morning dew, like a breath touching your heart. And then everything quietly begins to change. You once thought you only needed to be healed from the wounds you could remember. But my beloved child, I am restoring even the parts of you that you yourself did not know when you had lost. I am returning to you the tenderness you once had before life made you guarded. I am restoring the clear gaze that once looked upon the world with love before disappointment caused you to close your heart. I am restoring your ability to trust before fear crept in and built walls within your soul. There are people who continue to live, yet inwardly they stopped hoping long ago. But I do not want you merely to exist through the days. I want your soul to truly come alive again. Remember the prodigal son. He left his father's house, carrying rebellion and confidence in himself, only to become exhausted in a distant land. But what the father gave back to him when he returned was not only food or clothing. He restored his son's identity. He gave him the robe, the ring, and the place he thought he had lost forever. My beloved child, I am doing the same within you. I am not only wiping away your tears, I am calling you back to the true identity that pain, sin, and fear once covered. There were years when you lived only to endure life. You loved, but you were always afraid of being wounded. You gave, but your heart still trembled with the fear of being abandoned. You prayed mostly to escape pain, but you had not yet truly known what it means to be near me simply because you love me. But now, I am drawing you into another depth, a place where my presence becomes more precious than the answer itself, a place where you no longer seek me only because you need a miracle, but because your soul has learned that being near me is the greatest miracle of all. My child, do not continue searching for intense emotions to prove that I am near. I am not present only in the moments when your soul burns with fire. I am also in the quietness of the small room where you sit alone. I am in the breath you are drawing in at this very moment. I am in the heartbeat moving within your chest. There are people who think they must climb very high to touch heaven. But I tell you the truth, when you simply lower your heart in humility, heaven has already bent very near. Jesus Christ once came to the two disciples on the road to Emmaus when they were disappointed and thought all hope had gone out. They did not recognize him immediately. They only felt their hearts burning as he spoke with them along the way. My beloved child, there are times when you also do not yet recognize that I am very near, but your soul still senses it through an unexpected peace, through a small ray of hope in the dark night, through the feeling that you have not truly been abandoned, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. I want you to understand that this moment is not the ending you once feared. It is the beginning of a new opening within your soul. What is happening is not loss, it is an unveiling. Old layers are falling away so that you no longer have to live as the distorted version that pain once created. I am touching the deepest places within you, the places no one has ever truly understood. The places you have hidden because you feared being seen and rejected. But my child, I am not afraid of the darkness within you. I do not turn my face away from the things you are ashamed of. I knew every wound you carried before you even knew how to name them. Just as Jesus Christ touched the leper whom society avoided, I am also touching the parts of you that you thought no one could ever love. And I do not come with condemnation. I come with a love great enough to melt every layer of defense around your heart. That love will remain until fear no longer rules over you, until you stop looking at yourself through the eyes of failure and begin to see yourself through my eyes. My beloved child, when you truly realize that you have never been alone, many chains will fall away by themselves. The fear of abandonment will lose its power. Despair will no longer have a place to stand. Doors that seem tightly locked will gradually begin to open, not because you have tried hard enough, but because I have drawn near, and wherever I am present, life always begins to bloom again. Therefore today, do not strain yourself trying to understand everything. Do not keep asking when or how. Simply open your heart to me. Let me love you in that simplicity. Let my presence touch your soul more deeply than any explanation could. For right now, my beloved child, I am not far away. I am very near, nearer than the breath you are drawing in, nearer than the tears you are trying to hide. And I will not leave until my light fully awakens the soul I have called by its own name from before the foundation of the world. My beloved child, I know there are nights when your soul is so weary that you no longer have enough strength to put anything into words. You lie still in the darkness, carrying thoughts no one knows, wondering whether that silence can reach me. But my child, even when your lips cannot lift a prayer, your heart is still speaking to me. I hear the sighs you think no one understands. I see the tears you quickly wipe away before sleep. I know even the hidden battles taking place in your mind while the outside world thinks you are still fine. Do not think that I only listen to long or beautiful prayers. There are nights when your presence before me is already a prayer. When you still choose to remain with me even though there are no strong emotions left, even though your soul feels dry and exhausted, heaven still sees it as precious worship. As it is written in Romans 8:26, the Holy Spirit Himself intercedes for you with groanings too deep for words. My beloved child, there are times when you think you no longer know how to pray, but my Spirit is still turning your sighs into an offering before the throne of grace. I do not count how many words you have spoken. I look to see whether you still remain with me. There are people who use many words, yet their hearts are far from me. There are also souls who simply sit still in silence, yet their whole hearts are leaning upon me. And my child, every time you choose not to leave, even when you are weary, you are pleasing me more than you realize. For true love is not only present on easy days, it is proven by remaining through the dark seasons. I know you have tried to guard your peace, like someone shielding a small lamp in a great wind. There were times when pressure, disappointment, and fear blew so fiercely that you thought the light within you was about to go out. But hear me, my beloved child, the flame I placed within you does not come from this world, and so the world cannot extinguish it. It is the fire of the Holy Spirit, a fire kindled by my breath. It does not burn by your own strength. So, even when you are at your weakest, that light still remains. Remember the burning bush before Moses in the wilderness. The fire burned brightly, yet the bush was not consumed. My child, that is also what I am doing within your soul. The fire I placed within you does not come to destroy you, but to purify you. There are times when you feel as though you are melting under the heat of trials, but in truth, I am softening the hardened places, burning away the things that no longer belong to your true identity. A refiner does not place precious metal into the fire because he hates it, but because he wants to make it purer. There are old layers I am gently removing from your soul, ways of living born from fear, reactions formed by wounds, defenses that make it difficult for you to receive love and also difficult for you to give love. You think you are breaking, but many times I am only unfolding wings you had not dared to use before. A seed must split open before it can become a great tree. And my beloved child, many things within you are being opened, not destroyed. I see you in every moment. Even when you think you are sinking into the deepest darkness, there is no place where your tears fall that my gaze does not touch. As David once wrote, "If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, behold, you are there." My child, no dark corner is deep enough to hide you from my love. When you bow your head in loneliness, I do not look at you with condemnation. I look upon you with the eyes of a father holding his child through the long night. There are healings I do not perform through great words. but through my gentle presence, just as Jesus Christ sat and wept with Mary and Martha before the tomb of Lazarus. There are times when I do not come to explain everything, but simply to remain with you in that pain. And that very presence begins to heal the places words cannot touch. I place my hand upon the memories you tried to bury. I touch the places in your heart that were betrayed, rejected, and forgotten, not by force, but by the tender light of love. That light passes through the dust of the years, through the disappointments that once made your spiritual eyes grow dim, and little by little, you will begin to see the world differently, not because every problem disappears, but because your eyes are being healed. I am restoring within you what life once took away, the ability to trust, the ability to rejoice, the ability to see beauty in the midst of a weary world. My beloved child, when you walk through crowded streets and feel lost among thousands of faces, remember that I am still very near. I am not present only in powerful spiritual moments. I also walk with you through the most ordinary things of life. When you are tired on the road, I am the gentle breath that sustains you. When you are confused, I am the peace that cannot be explained by reason. When you lose your direction, my voice will still echo quietly within your heart like a small stream that never stops flowing. Do not be ashamed of your tears. Jesus Christ also wept, and every time you cry before me, I do not see it as weakness. Many times, tears are the place where your soul becomes soft enough for me to touch it more deeply. When you lift your head after those long nights, you will realize that you no longer see yourself through the old eyes. You will begin to see what I have always seen, that you are still worthy of love, still precious, still whole in me despite all the brokenness you have passed through. Therefore today, my beloved child, rest in this truth. You have never been alone. All of heaven is moving around your life in ways your eyes have not yet seen. I have commanded my angels to guard you in all your ways. And there are times when your soul feels peace without understanding why. It is because my presence is covering you like a gentle garment of eternal love. So do not strain yourself too much trying to feel me anymore. Simply believe that I am here. When you close your eyes in silence, I am still there. When you breathe out in weariness, I am still there. When you no longer have enough words to speak, I still understand. And my love for you does not diminish on the days when you are weak. It remains whole, still tender, still patient as it was from the beginning until your soul fully rests in my arms. My beloved child, before the mountains were formed, before the great sea found its shore, my word existed. When darkness still covered the deep and not even a single ray of light was present, I spoke a word, and light burst forth. My child, that word has never lost its power. It is still living, still shaking the heavens, still moving through the darkest places of the human heart to call life to rise again. For my word is not merely sound, my word carries creative power. When I speak, the invisible becomes visible. When I call, what was dead must come back to life. And at this very moment, that very word is touching your soul. There are places within your heart that you once thought had been closed forever. Rooms of painful memories, lands made barren by disappointment, dark corners where you buried your hope deep within. But my beloved child, miracles are not only stories of the past. I am still the God who opened the Red Sea, still the one who caused water to flow from the rock, still the one who called the dead to step out of the tomb. And what I am doing today does not begin with the circumstances outside you. It begins deep within your soul. There are chains quietly breaking, even though your eyes have not yet seen them fall. There are walls of fear cracking beneath the breath of my Holy Spirit. just as the people of Israel once stood before the deep sea and thought every road had ended. You too have had moments when you looked at your life and saw only a dead end. But I am not limited by what you call impossible. When the sea blocks the way, I open a path through the waters. When the desert is dry, I cause springs of life to burst forth. My child, what frightens you today is not greater than my power, and what I am preparing for you does not depend on your own strength, but on the word I have spoken over your life from the beginning. I am the one who called Abraham to leave his homeland without knowing where he was going. I am the one who walked with Moses through the wilderness and placed my word in the mouths of the prophets. I do not change with time. As it is written in Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. My beloved child, if I performed miracles in ancient days, I can still do them today. But now, I am not only moving through pillars of fire or clouds in the sky, I am placing my very spirit within you. There are times when you sit quietly and suddenly feel your heart warming with a very gentle peace. Sometimes, in the midst of weariness, a small ray of hope shines again, and even you do not understand why. Do not take those moments lightly. That is the living water from my throne flowing through your soul. Jesus Christ said, "If anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink." And my child, that water does not merely soothe a temporary thirst. It brings back to life the parts of you that you once thought were dead. I am calling the things that have been asleep within your soul to awaken. There are dreams you once buried because of disappointment. There are places in your heart that stopped believing because they had been wounded too many times. But my beloved child, I am the God of resurrection. When Jesus Christ stood before the tomb of Lazarus after 4 days, when the smell of death was already present, everyone thought it was too late. But with just one word he spoke, "Lazarus, come out." Death had to release the one it was holding. Today, I am also calling your faith to come out of the tomb of disappointment. I am calling your courage to come out of the place of fear. I am calling the love within you to awaken after seasons of coldness. Do not believe the lie that everything good within you has already died. What I placed inside you is not so easily destroyed. Perhaps it has been lying dormant beneath the dust of wounds and weariness. But as soon as my breath touches it, life will rise again. Just as in the vision of Ezekiel, when I asked the prophet, "Son of man, can these bones live?" And then I breathed into them. The dry bones came together and stood up as a great army. My beloved child, there are dry places within your soul that I am preparing to bring back to life in the same way. When you see doors closed before you, do not despair as though your life has no way forward. I am the one who holds the key that no one can take from my hand. There are doors you have tried hard to knock on, but I did not open them because they do not lead you to the place I have appointed for you. But what truly belongs to you will come, not through exhausting striving, but through the guidance of grace. As it is written in Revelation, "What I open, no one can shut, and what I shut, no one can open." My child, you do not need to force your way into your destiny. You only need to draw near to me and follow my leading. I am also Jehovah Rapha, the one who heals you. But the healing I give does not only touch the body, it reaches deep into memories, into the old voices that once made you believe you were not valuable enough, not lovable enough, not worthy enough to belong. There are words others once spoke that left marks like sharp thorns in your mind. There are events that caused your heart to gradually harden in order to protect itself from more pain. But I did not create you with a heart of stone. I want to give you back a heart of flesh, tender, able to feel, able to love, and able to trust again. Just as the father in the story of the prodigal son ran out to embrace his returning child without first demanding an account of his sins, I am also opening my arms to you in the same way. I do not define you by your past. I do not keep a record of your failures in order to use them against you. When I enter a soul, the past no longer has the authority to write the future. My grace is stronger than what once broke you. My beloved child, I am turning the cold rooms within your heart into places filled with light. The places where there was once only silence and loneliness will become places where my peace dwells. I am cleansing your spiritual eyes so that you may see everything differently, no longer through fear, but through hope, no longer through shame, but through the identity I have placed upon you. Therefore today, do not fear what is changing within your heart. Do not be afraid when you feel as though your soul is awakening after a long sleep. This is not imagination. It is my breath touching you. And wherever I am present, darkness must retreat, chains must break, death must give way to life. For I am not only the God of yesterday, I am the God of the present here now, loving you, restoring you, and continuing to write the story of your life with my eternal light. My beloved child, there are seasons in life that make you feel as though you have been placed in the burning fire of trial, where everything familiar seems to be melting away and your soul becomes more fragile than ever. You wonder why I would allow you to walk through such days, why the pain keeps coming, and why there are moments when your heart becomes so weary that you only want to let go of everything. But my child, remember what I spoke through the life of Job. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. A refiner does not place precious metal into the fire because he wants to destroy it. He does so to separate the impurities that are hiding the true beauty within. I am doing the same with your soul. Do not call this fire rejection. It is evidence that I am still working in your life. There are things that can only be purified through the fire of my love, the fear that has been rooted too long, the quiet pride that makes you rely on your own strength, the lies that caused you to forget your true identity. And my beloved child, when you feel the heat of refinement, remember that I have never stood far away. No one lights a fire and then abandons what is precious within it. I stand very close to you in the midst of this furnace. Remember the 3 friends of Daniel in the blazing furnace. They were thrown into the fire because they refused to bow before the idols of the world. But when the king looked inside, he did not see only 3 men. He saw a 4th, one walking with them in the fire. My child, that is the image of who I am with you today. I do not always remove you from the furnace immediately, but I step into it with you, and my very presence makes the fire unable to destroy your soul. The miracle was not only that they survived, even the smell of smoke did not cling to their garments. My beloved child, I can lead you through the fiercest seasons and still keep the light within your soul intact. There are times when you pass through a valley so dark that it seems there is no way out. But as David wrote in Psalm 23, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. My child, I did not promise there would be no valleys, but I promised that you would not pass through them alone. I am the shepherd who knows every one of your steps. I know where your heart is trembling. I know what wakes you in the middle of the night. And even when you do not have the strength to call my name, my hand is still holding you. I am not like the world. When you are weak, I do not turn away. When you lose your direction, I do not cast you out. When you fall, I do not stand over you with accusation. Jesus Christ told of the shepherd who left the 99 sheep to search for the one that was lost. My beloved child, that is, my heart, when you are weary and lost, I do not wait for you to return perfectly on your own. I step into that darkness to carry you back with love. There are wounds within your heart that no one knows how to touch. People often want to fix things quickly with words, but I know there are pains that need to be healed by presence more than by explanation. That is why on many nights, I simply sit beside you in silence, not because I have no words to speak, but because your soul in that moment needs to be loved more than it needs to be taught. There are healings that begin not with a dramatic miracle, but with the moment a soul realizes it is no longer alone. My child, do not keep looking at the wind and the waves until your heart begins to sink, as Peter's once did. When he walked on the water, he stood firm as long as his eyes remained fixed on Jesus Christ. But when he looked at the storm, fear began to pull him down. You are the same. If your eyes are fixed only on the chaos around you, your heart will lose its peace. But if you look to me, you will realize that no storm is greater than my voice when I say, "Be still." I am the one who commanded the raging sea to be silent. And today, I am speaking the same word to your soul. The peace I give does not come because every problem disappears immediately, but because I am present in the midst of them. When I am there, chaos no longer has the right to rule. When I touch your soul, what once made you panic begins to lose its power. Now, my beloved child, I want you to feel the gentleness of my presence, not like a mighty wind that shakes everything, but like a soft breath resting upon your weary soul. After long days of battle, I am leading you into a place of rest. Just as the prophet Elijah, after he was exhausted beneath the broom tree, I did not rebuke him for his weakness. I let him rest, gave him food, and only then continued the journey. My child, I care for your weariness in the same way. Pause for a little while and let your soul breathe with me, for where your breath meets my breath, peace begins to flow. I do not need you to strain yourself to be spiritual enough. I only want you to open your heart. My presence is moving through every empty place within you like a gentle fragrance in the ancient sanctuary, soaking into weary memories, barren spaces, and pains that have not yet been given a name. Do you know this? My beloved child, I am blessing you even through the very small things of each day. When the morning sunlight touches your face, I am there. When a gentle breeze calms your heart, I am there. When you speak a tender word to someone in a world filled with bitterness, I am present in that very softness. True blessing is not only the great things people can see. Many times, it is the quiet peace that keeps your soul from breaking during the hardest days. People often think blessing means having many things to hold. But, my child, the greatest blessing is knowing that I am with you in every circumstance. There are people who possess everything, yet their souls remain empty. There are also people who walk through lack, yet inwardly they are filled with life because they carry my presence. As it is written, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." True blessing is not found in what your hands are holding, but in whom your heart is near. Therefore today, do not be afraid if the journey is still long. Do not panic if the refining fire has not yet completely gone out. Let me continue the work I am doing within you. For what I am forming is not merely a life that survives hardship, but a soul that reflects my eternal light. And one day, you will look back on every trial you passed through and realize that even the most painful seasons were the hand of the skillful potter, shaping you into a vessel tender enough to carry my love, my peace, and my glory into the midst of this world. My beloved child, rest in my arms like a child, laying their head upon their father's chest after a long and weary day. I know this world has kept your heart tense for far too long. The noise, the worries, and the quiet pressures have kept your soul in a constant state of fighting to survive. But today, I want you to stop straining. Let me place my hand upon that weary heart and speak to you. Peace be with you. Not the fragile kind of peace that comes because every problem has disappeared, but the deep peace that is born when you know I am still holding your life. Jesus Christ once said, Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. My child, the peace of the world depends on favorable circumstances, on everything going according to desire, but the peace I give remains even in the midst of the storm. It is like the deep water beneath the surface of the sea above. There may be wind and waves, but below, there is stillness and steadiness. I am drawing your soul down into that depth, where you no longer live according to the chaos around you, but from my presence. You do not need to understand everything in order to have peace. There are questions that do not yet have answers today. There are roads ahead of you that you cannot yet see clearly. But my beloved child, I have never asked you to understand all things. I only invite you to remain in me, just as a branch does not need to strain itself to bear fruit, but only needs to stay connected to the vine. Your soul will also find life when it remains in me. True rest does not come from being able to control everything, but from trusting that the hand leading you never makes a mistake. I want to teach you to live like a river, not trying to keep everything for yourself, not resisting the flow of grace. A river is not afraid to keep moving because it knows its source never runs dry. You are the same. When you learn to live in me, you will stop clinging to temporary things out of the fear of loss. You will learn to open your hands instead of holding tightly. You will learn to give love instead of only seeking to be loved. You will learn to trust instead of always trying to control. There are seasons when I will soften your heart like soil after the rain. People often think tenderness is weakness. But my child, only soft soil can receive the seed and bring forth a harvest. I do not want your heart to become hardened by old wounds. I want it to remain gentle enough to be moved by beauty, sensitive enough to hear my voice, and open enough for my love to flow through it and touch others. Remember the prophet Ezekiel. When I spoke that I would remove the heart of stone from my people and give them a heart of flesh, my beloved child, I am doing the same within you. I am removing the coldness born from disappointment. I am healing the fear that caused you to close yourself off. And I am teaching you to live more lightly, no longer carrying on your shoulders the burdens I never told you to bear. Each morning when you wake, my grace for you is new. Just as the sun has never forgotten to rise after the long night, my love has never run out toward you. Perhaps yesterday you failed. Perhaps yesterday you cried many tears. But my child, my mercy did not stop at yesterday. As it is written in Lamentations 3:22-23, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. I do not look at you through the sentence of the past. I look at you through the hope of what I am creating within you today. Therefore, do not walk like someone who is always living under shame or an unpaid debt. I did not save you so that you would forever bow your head in disgrace. I set you free so that you may walk in the freedom of a love that has already forgiven you. When Jesus Christ healed and restored people, He did not only remove sin or pain, He gave them back their dignity. My beloved child, I also want you to live in that freedom, no longer as someone trying to prove your worth, but as one who knows they were already loved from the beginning. Walk through the world as one who carries peace, not as one desperately searching for it. There are so many souls exhausted from chasing things that can never make them whole. And I want your life to become a place where others can feel the gentleness of heaven, not through great or noisy things, but through the quiet light that shines from a soul that has learned to rest in me. When you walk in that peace, your words will be different. Your gaze will be different. The way you love will also be different. Others may not understand why they feel lighter when they are near you, but it is because my presence is covering you like the gentle fragrance of grace. Just as Moses came down from the mountain with his face reflecting the glory of God without even knowing it, you too will carry my light naturally when you have remained near me long enough. My beloved child, I bless every day you live. I am in the dawn light, touching the window of your room each morning. I am in the gentle breeze that calms your heart in the heat of midday. I am in the very small moments you often overlook: a bird's song, an unexpected smile, a quiet minute after a long day. For true blessing is not only one great thing that happens once, it is my continual presence within every breath of your life. I want you to live as one who knows that everything is slowly blooming beneath my hand, even when your eyes cannot yet see it all. Breathe as one who has been completely forgiven. Love as one who is no longer ruled by fear. Walk gently, because you do not need to carry the whole world upon your shoulders by yourself. I am your God, and I am still here. So today, my beloved child, stop fighting to gain peace by your own strength. Simply remain in me. Let your heart settle like a quiet lake after the wind has passed. Let my light cover the last dark corners within your soul. For when you truly know that I am with you, every fear will gradually lose its voice. And then you will understand that the greatest blessing is not having everything you want, but living each day in my presence that never leaves you. My beloved child, I am blessing every step you take through this life. It does not matter whether you are walking on a level road or among steep slopes filled with weariness, because wherever you set your feet with a heart that belongs to me, that place will begin to carry the fragrance of life. You do not realize that many times your presence alone is already a comfort to souls who are exhausted, not because you are more perfect than they are, but because my atmosphere rests upon you. There are people who enter a room and bring pressure, anxiety, and chaos with them. But I am making you someone who carries peace. When you are present, human hearts will soften like dry ground, meeting the first rain of the season. Do not think you must do something great in order to be used by me. A gentle word spoken at the right moment can save a soul from despair. A compassionate gaze can melt the ice around another person's heart. A loving touch can heal more than long sermons. Jesus Christ changed lives not only through great miracles, but by the way, he touched the leper, ate with the rejected, and looked upon the souls the world despised. My beloved child, I am also teaching you to sow seeds with that same gentleness. I have not called you to create a loud echo in the world. I have called you to sow, and every seed sown in true love will always bear fruit. Even if there are times when you do not see it immediately, as it is written in Galatians 6:9, let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not give up. There are things you do today that will become shade for people you have never met. There are quiet prayers of yours that will open the way for another generation to walk in the light. Do not take lightly the small things done with a faithful heart. And my child, when you are weary, do not run far from me. Return to my heart like a child coming back into their father's arms after a long day. When you are joyful, let that joy be sung in my presence. When you are sorrowful, do not hide your tears from me. There are tears you hold back before the world, but I see them all. I do not wait for you to become strong before I draw near. I come right in the moment when you are weakest. As David wrote, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted. My beloved child, I am not far from broken hearts. I am very near to them. Do not think I need polished prayers in order to understand you. I do not listen with ears as human beings do. I listen with love. There are nights when you simply sit still before me and do not know what to say. Yet your soul is speaking with me more deeply than thousands of words ever could. I am not looking for perfect rituals. I am looking for true presence. When you sit alone in silence and still open your heart toward me, heaven sees that as something precious. My beloved child, you have never been outside my sight. Even when you ran far in the days of confusion, I still followed after you with tireless love. Whether you stand on the heights of joy or fall into the depths of disappointment, My arms still surround you like breath around life. Psalm 139 says that if you ascend to heaven, I am there. If you descend into the depths, I am still there. There is no place you can go where my love cannot reach. From today on, let peace rule your heart instead of fear. Do not let the chaos of the world control your soul anymore. I am teaching you to walk more lightly, not because life no longer has difficulties, but because you know you are walking with me. Put on gentleness like the garment of your soul. People often think strength is found in hardness, but Jesus Christ said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." There is great power in the gentleness that comes from heaven. Be careful with your words, for words carry creative power. One word can cause another person's soul to bloom, but it can also make them wither. I am teaching you to speak with light instead of anger, to speak with truth, yet still be full of love. When your words are soaked in my presence, they will be like cool water flowing through a dry land. And my beloved child, look at others with the eyes of love instead of judgment. I know there are times when your heart has been wounded so deeply that you want to build distance between yourself and the world. But do not let pain harden your heart. I am refining your heart not to make it harder, but to make it clearer. For only a pure heart can see me in ordinary life. Only a tender soul can recognize miracles in small things. This season I am bringing you into is a season of gentle breakthroughs. Not every victory comes with a loud sound. There are miracles that unfold quietly, like a seed splitting open beneath the soil. You will not always hear the sound of walls falling, but you will see the path unexpectedly open before you. You will not always hear the thunder of victory, but you will feel peace beginning to cover the places that were once filled with chaos. And my child, that is the deepest kind of victory, the victory that allows the soul to rest. I am looking into your heart like a gardener looking upon a piece of land that has just been revived after a long winter. There are parts of you that once withered because of disappointment, parts you thought could never grow life again. But in the very place where you thought everything had died, I am beginning to sow a new season. As I spoke in Isaiah 35, the wilderness shall be glad, and the desert shall blossom like the rose. My beloved child, I am the God who causes what seemed hopeless to bear fruit again. The tears you once shed in faithfulness were not wasted. They soaked into the soil of your soul like quiet rain, nourishing the roots. And now, tender shoots are beginning to appear. There are dreams you thought had died that I am breathing life into again. There are promises that once lay dormant in your heart that I am now awakening. As in Revelation 21:5, I am still saying, "Behold, I make all things new." You do not need to strain yourself to make everything happen. I am not asking you to pull springtime into being by your own strength. I only invite you to trust, for my word, once spoken, will not return empty. It carries the life, light, and power of heaven. And right now, my beloved child, that very breath is resting upon you like the gentle rain of early spring, quiet, tender, yet strong enough to revive the entire garden of your soul in my light. My beloved child, I am the God of new beginnings. There is no night so long that I cannot call the dawn to appear. There is no land so desolate that I cannot cause life to grow there again. From the beginning, before light appeared, the earth was only darkness and a silent deep. Yet in that stillness, my spirit was moving over the waters. My child, do not be afraid of the seasons of life that seem as though nothing is moving. Some of my deepest works always begin in places the human eye cannot see. Human beings often fear silence because they think I am present only in things that are great and loud. But remember, Elijah did not encounter me in the mighty wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire. He heard me in the gentle whisper. My beloved child, there are seasons when I draw you away from the noise of the world so that your soul may learn to recognize the rhythm of heaven. When everything around you becomes quiet and you no longer know what to hold on to, that is often the very moment when I am doing my deepest work within you. I know there are days when you pray and feel nothing. You read my word, yet your heart still feels empty. You walk forward without knowing clearly where the road ahead leads. But my child, do not mistake silence for absence. A farmer sows seed into the ground and does not dig it up every day to check on it. In that dark soil, life is quietly beginning to sprout. Your soul is the same. When you see nothing happening, I'm still weaving things together beyond your understanding. The more you learn to rest in me, the more room I have to move. There are miracles that do not come through striving, but through surrender. Just as the people of Israel had to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord by the shore of the Red Sea, you too will have seasons when you must learn to stop fighting in your own strength in order to see my hand at work. My beloved child, not every door opens by being pushed with force. There are doors that open only when your soul knows how to trust. I am still surrounding you with signs of my love, even though many times you do not recognize them. There are people I send at the very moment you are about to collapse. There are words that come to you in the middle of a weary day like cool water for a dry soul. There are songs that rise at the exact moment your heart is breaking. Do not think these things are merely coincidences. Heaven knows how to touch your life through very gentle things. Just as an angel once brought bread and water to Elijah when he was exhausted beneath the broom tree, I am also nourishing your soul through many small things you often overlook. My beloved child, I have never left the place where you cried. There were nights when you thought you were alone with your pain, but I was still there in the silence of that room. I watched every tear fall like a father sitting beside his wounded child. I am not afraid of your sorrow. I do not turn away from the weak places within you. There are people who only stay when you are strong and joyful. But I remain even when you are at your most broken. When you try to appear strong for too long, your soul becomes weary. But my child, I do not ask you to keep straining before me. David wept. Jeremiah lamented. Jesus Christ also wept at the tomb of Lazarus. Tears do not make you weaker in my eyes. Many times, they are the sign that your heart is still alive and has not become hardened by pain. And when you stop resisting, when you stop trying to hide, I can touch you more deeply. I am remaking many things in your life in my way, not in the way you imagined. There are things I cut away not to take from you, but to make room for a new season, just as a gardener prunes the branches so the tree may bear more fruit. I am also cutting away what no longer brings life to your soul. There are paths where I cause you to slow down because I want your foundation to be strong enough before you step into something greater. And there are silences I allow to linger because I am writing something deeper beneath the surface of the waters, something you cannot yet see. Remember the potter in the book of Jeremiah. When the vessel was marred in the potter's hand, he did not throw the clay away. He reshaped it into another vessel, more beautiful according to his will. My beloved child, I am shaping your life again in the same way. There are places within you that need to become soft so I can form a new shape. If the clay is too hard, it is difficult for the potter to mold it. Therefore, do not be afraid when I soften your heart through seasons of pain and waiting. That very tenderness allows my grace to be engraved more deeply into your soul. I am building a spiritual house within you, not a house made of the bricks and stones of this world, but a dwelling place where I may abide. Its foundation is faith. Its walls are trust. Its covering is the peace I give. And the lamp that always burns inside is my Holy Spirit. When that house is built firmly, storms will no longer easily make it collapse. Jesus Christ said that the one who builds their house upon the rock will stand firm when the rain falls, the floods rise, and the winds blow. My child, I am making your life into such a house. Do not compare your journey with anyone else's. Some seeds sprout quickly, while others need many seasons of rain before they rise above the ground. But what grows slowly is not less valuable. A great oak takes many years to mature, and that is why it stands firm through many storms. My beloved child, you are not delayed. You are moving according to the rhythm of heaven, not the hurried pace of the world. Others may seem to be moving faster than you in human eyes, but I do not measure life by speed. I look at depth. I look at the maturity of the soul. I look at faithfulness in the hidden place. And I am pleased when I see that you are still continuing to walk, even though you cannot yet see the whole road. Therefore today, my beloved child, as you continue this journey, look ahead and remember that I am leading the way. When you stop to rest, look within and know that I am dwelling there. When you are afraid and look back, you will see that my footprints have always covered the path you have walked. There is no direction you can turn where my presence is not there. So be at peace. Let me continue writing the story of your life with the rhythm of grace. For what I am doing within you is not a fleeting work of the world, but an eternal masterpiece, a soul being shaped to reflect my light, my gentleness, and my peace in the midst of a generation grown weary from darkness